Hi Colin, well this is your box before I pack it up of course. I'm sending you a bottle of just the ordinary blue dawning solution with a, well I call it the 4ml plastic squirty pipette. There's only 4 mils if you fill it up completely, but it usually does 1 squirt is 2.5 mils, 2 squirts is 5 mils, 3 squirts is 7.5 mils. I recommend for seedlings and small cuttings and things just 1 squirt. The usual 2.5 mils, and wait for the plant to grow and maybe add some more later on. Best time to add the fertiliser is at night time of course, because it's got salts in here of course, so it's always best to put salty things on your plants late at night so you don't put so much of a strain on the plants. Then we have the high nickel true serpentine formulation. That's why it's in the plastic poison bottle, or it's a washed out hydrochloric acid bottle. This is the type of bottle I definitely would like in the future. If you could find me a source for these, well, I'll be eternally grateful for you. Then we have a cerium solution. I found the best way for this, because it easily falls out of solution, so you know, any sulfate, any phosphate, because it naturally occurs in monazite sand of course, which is a phosphorosilicate matrix, so it's already locked up, and only plants such as our Australian natives that produce phosphatases that extract the phosphorus from these phosphorosilicate matrices have the possibility of extracting these rare earths from these sands, these phosphorosilicate sands. That, as I've said before, appear to occur all the way around the coastline of the southwest of Western Australia, and there's lots of mines being, or have been popping up since 1998 quite regularity, and there's 2 of them which are in areas that have pygmy drossers named after them, although so far pygmy drossers don't seem to respond, so I think that's just a coincidence, but you never know, there might be another rare earth out there that the pygmies respond to. As I said, there's probably possibly two boron substitutes, one control for replacing the sugar translocation, the other one for starch accumulation. Just predicted there's probably 1, maybe 2. You know, there might be more, but there's about 15 of them to search through, and I'll probably leave this work for other people to do. But the best thing I've found, because it falls out of solution so easy, is to just pour some into a beaker, you know, small little beaker, you know, the usual 50 ml type beakers you get, and just slosh your banana roots around in that before you plant them into your heat. I'm sending you some. This is double fluff polypete, as in the general process of the August meeting handout. Nothing special about this. This has still got too much iron and too much copper in it, as we've learned in the last 6 months. To get better growth, you need some extensions to the poly. So I mean, it's a lot heavier. As you can see, it's got at least twice as much. Whoa! That's what one Jenny at our meeting said. When I handed her a triple pack here, and it went, whoa, it's heavy. And I hadn't really thought about that much until then. And so you're going to need extra strong benching. And my benching is, each bench is designed to take 0.8 of a tonne, or 800 kilograms. So, I've noticed that with each thaw you can get an extra 10% of water in each time. So we're already at 2.5 times the amount of water of just the normal sloshing around of the bucket. Yeah, I've done triple and quadruple fluffings. I've got my experiment set up now, and well, I'm just waiting for the results, which I won't have until well, another month's time, until Christmas basically. I've got my chemicals ordered for Christmas. One of them is in Australia and I should get before Christmas, and because I'm ordering selenium salts and tellurium salts, and the other's in America, so I won't get it until like mid-January, maybe late January. Oh well, at least I have one to play with over Christmas, over the weeks following the Christmas lull, and should have results, you know, by well, the first quarter to the first third of next year. Yes or no, selenium yes, or tellurium yes or no. As you probably know, that selenium and tellurium are used as vulcanizing agents in the harder rubbers such as car tyres and particularly aeroplane tyres. They make that really hard, resilient rubber, and that's why when your hoons go down your street and they burn rubber, yeah, you get that awful god out awful sign. Please, for whatever you do, tellurium is not as poisonous as selenium, but please try not to inhale, because it still has an LD50, which is pretty horrendous. So, I mean, the LD50 for selenium is 400 milligrams, which is about a tenth of a level teaspoon to kill the average 80 kilogram person. So, in other words, if you fed that to 100 80 kilogram people, you get around about 50 of them will die, and any of the remaining people that survive would probably be blind. So it's we're getting to the end of a very long journey and getting to the really interesting but also very dangerous side of things. So that's the way things go. As to your thing here, I hope the camera can actually adjust. I'll just check. Very interesting. I assume this is in preparation for I'll tell you about there. In preparation for your next year's newsletter, early next year. I don't think you've done this for me, but it's very nice if you have. And I like the DI colours, you know, the blue and the green. That's very, very nice. One thing I've noticed though is all your traps are completely devoid of that nice, the salmon pink colour. That seems to be due to low copper, because I don't know if you know this. But sphagnum bogs are renowned for these things known as bog iron and bog copper. The things that the Stone Age man used to, well, not really Stone Age man, should be going into the, before the Bronze Age anyway. They used to go and get bog iron and bog copper because it was easy. It was in the nascent state, in other words, it has copper metal and there's iron metal. And they could make arrowheads and things like that out of it by just, you know, copper's quite soft. If you bang it, well, you know, enough, you can actually mould it into a shape. It'd take you days to do it probably, but you know, once you've made a copper arrowhead, you can do a lot of things with a copper arrowhead that you couldn't do with a flint one. It's a lot tougher. But yeah, they used to get that from the bogs, and so it's just an idea. It looks like you've got your iron levels right, you know, because yeah, they're growing all right. But check your copper level. I reckon that if you want to get that nice salmon pink colour in these traps, try lowering your copper. That's what we're working on with the next stage, is taking out the iron, the copper, and hopefully we're trying to find a method to take out the manganese and the boron, so that we can switch over to these sedge peats, because sedge peats of course are higher in lignin. And that's the way to go, you know, trying to get. But we're also trialling substituting for lignin using the urea formaldehyde foam. And I'll pause it and show you. Here, these things, Oasis floor foam. I'm picking them up. Oh, you know, buy them at cheapest tips. But if you ride off, you can get one of these product catalogues. If you actually, they're actually made here in South Australia. Which is, well, there goes the cat food. And they've got all the various things, and you can actually buy these giant bricks. I don't know if you can see that one, the so-called designer brick. Yeah, it's quite a large one. That's the sort of thing I think you'd order. It's the size of a big cardboard box basically, and that's what you really want to do. And unfortunately, they have a bit too much iron in them, so I crush them up and run them through the polypeat process to get the iron out, and to well, I don't know if they've got any copper in them, but they've definitely got some iron in them, so you can't just grind them up and stick them in your potting mix. You have to run it through the same process, and once you've done that, you yeah, seem to be better growth. But at the moment I'm trying to put it all together, this, get the peat right, mix it with that, and I don't know whether you actually need the fertiliser at all, because I only noticed this, I don't know if you've seen on some of the other videos I've put out, but when you got the peat and the wax in contact with these foam blocks, because I was using these as my so-called capillary blocking system, the fungus grew extremely well when it was in contact, and would actually grow like 1.5 millimetres into this stuff. But yeah, it was the right idea. It certainly grows quite well with that. Hang on, I'll just get rid of this cat food. It's in my sandal. Hang on, sorry. Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll put this year's show on the tape, and I'll probably put last year's show as well if I can find it. It's on one of the other tapes, and I'll give you just a general feeling. But I've got this reniformis. This is from Brian Denton. He's not bad. It's $1.50 for this. He had them at $1.50 or $3, and he was selling them at $3 last year, which was quite good. And I got some then. Unfortunately, they're in sphagnum moss, as you can see that, and you can't really tell whether they're serpentine responsive or not, because you need the lignin, of course, to get the growth response. But last year I found out that they were pretty tolerant to well, seem to be pretty tolerant to the serpentine heavy metals, but I can't tell whether that's because they've got a waxy coating on the leaves or not. If you've noticed, they've got a very waxy coating, and when the stem goes that nice pinky purple, it also gets a nice... Have you seen this? This is in the latest Carniflora australis. The latest one out. You've probably got it now. There's an article by Chris Sherrill in there about flowering Utricular reniformis. So I suggested to Brian yesterday when I wrote to him, I said thank you very much for the very cheap plants, and I sent him a copy of this one because he only had a chance to read it at the show yesterday before he handed it this thing to me, because it only came in this week. He talks about adding aquasol, and I said to Brian, well, why not just try potassium sulfate, but at the same molarity or strength as the aquasol, and if you get flowering that way, well, then you've only got two elements to worry about, the potassium and the sulfur, because you can disregard the oxygen, because that's just bound up with it as the sulfate. But that would mean it's just like a flash sort of thing, you know, increasing the strength and then dilution, and that will tie up with probably the ideas with the selenium, because I don't know if you know this, but I got onto selenium with that article I sent you from that book. Hang on, I'll show you. See, I like old books, you know, you've got things like, and there's the Green Wisdom one I was talking about, that has the, I sent you the article on, and then there's one like photosynthesis. I like old books because they give you a lot of history. They're not like these modern books they started doing in the 70s, and they just like, some person sits down with 5 books and takes a bit out of this, a bit out of that, and has no background knowledge of themselves. It hasn't been in the thing for half their life or anything, and really knows nothing about it. You're just sort of copying in a way, and you lose so much. That's why I prefer the old books. Now, being a book collector yourself, I assume it's similar for yourself. But yeah, I like the glossy cover of this new Carniflora australis, or the so-called Asian Pacific Carnivorous Plant Society now. Well, they call themselves Australasian, but that caused a bit of a hassle. Oh well. Yeah, so this is supposed to... but you see that lovely green colour on there? Interesting. He says he only puts this aquasol on there for 4 hours and then flushes it out. So I assume that the potassium gets bound up, because that's the sort of thing I'm doing now, is the extensions to the polypeat process. I'm doing things like that where I put a high loading in the peat and then I flush it out to... I'm actually flushing now to 8 times dilute, you know, a factor of 8. You know, because I found that by adding these sorts you get even more tannins coming out of the peat. So yeah. So it's what's that, 200 and something dilution now. Anyway, it certainly gets rid of the iron and and I found a way to get rid of the copper as well. Now it's just trying to find a way to get rid of the boron. Whether that's the use of aluminium, I don't know. But then there's manganese. Whether you can counter the manganese by flushing out by increasing the magnesium levels, well, I'll have to do those experiments. I haven't actually got round to doing them. I'm just setting them up at the moment, so I can't give you any feedback on that until until probably February, I suppose. Another 8 to 12 weeks, because it takes so long now. Oh, that's the other thing, is going through these freezing stages. I found all you have to do is, wait, I'll show you. I don't know if you can see this, but whoa, it's heavy. Yeah, you don't have to freeze it for a week. I've done an experiment. The larger the volume of peat, the longer it will take to thaw out. And so if you have like 50 cubic capacity or something, you know, like 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters, then it might take a week to thaw out. But what I have discovered, you have to have lots of water in there. It must get to this stage. It mustn't go. Must get to this